I told my daughters I'm divorcing their dad even though they said they'd never speak to me again. 3 months ago, I found out my husband cheated on me. Not once, but twice. Both times when I was pregnant with our daughters. I found old emails on his laptop when I was looking for a recipe he'd saved. Messages from 2 different women, years apart. One from when I was pregnant with Emily, our oldest. Another from when I was pregnant with Sarah, our youngest. I confronted him that same night and he broke down crying, saying it was the biggest mistake of his life. That he'd been too scared to tell me. That he'd been living with the guilt for years. But knowing didn't make it hurt any less. Our daughters are 14 and 16 now. They know their dad cheated, but not all the details. They don't know what happened while I was pregnant with them. They don't know there were 2 different women. They just know their dad made a mistake a long time ago. When we told them we were separating, Emily completely lost it. She screamed at me for ruining our family over something that happened years ago. Sarah cried and begged us to stay together. They both said I was being dramatic and needed to forgive him. We set up this arrangement where we'd take turns living in the house with the girls. One week I'd stay with them in our house and he'd stay in the studio apartment we rented downtown. Then we'd switch, except the girls refused to follow the plan. During my weeks, they'd pack bags and go stay in the tiny studio with their dad. They'd text me saying they needed space and didn't want to see me. Meanwhile, during his weeks, they'd stay home and act like everything was normal. I tried everything. Family therapy, individual therapy for each of them, even giving them space like everyone suggested. Nothing worked. They kept saying the same thing. If you divorce dad, we'll never forgive you. He made a mistake, but you're choosing to destroy our family. 2 months went by without seeing them. 2 months of living alone in our house during my weeks, walking past their empty bedrooms. I'd text them goodnight every single night and they'd leave me on red. Last Tuesday, we had a meeting with our family therapist. Both girls came, which was progress. The therapist asked them to explain how they were feeling. Emily spoke first. She said dad made a mistake, but he's been a great father for our entire lives. That I was throwing away 16 years of marriage over something that happened in the past. Then Sarah said that if I really loved them, I'd forgive their dad and keep our family together. That going through with the divorce meant I cared more about being right than about their happiness. The therapist tried to explain that this was a decision between their dad and me, that it wasn't about them, but Emily cut her off. She looked right at me and said, if you file those papers, we're done. We'll go live with dad full time and you'll never see us again. I sat there feeling like my heart was being ripped out. These were my babies, the kids I'd carried and raised and loved more than anything in the world. And they were telling me to choose between my self-respect and having them in my life. The therapist asked me how I was feeling. I looked at my daughters and said, I love you both more than you could ever understand, but I can't stay married to your father. What he did broke something that can't be fixed. Emily stood up immediately. Then you made your choice. Come on, Sarah, we're leaving. Sarah hesitated for a second, looking between me and Emily. Then she got up too and they both walked out. My husband tried to go after them, but the therapist stopped him. She said they needed space to process, that this was a lot for teenagers to handle, that eventually they'd come around. But it's been a week and they haven't responded to any of my messages. I filed for divorce yesterday. Our house that we bought in 2003 has quadrupled in value, so we'll both be able to afford decent places after we sell it. My lawyer says I have a strong case for 50-50 custody since they're old enough to choose where they want to live. But I know they'll choose their dad. I'm going to lose my daughters because I couldn't forgive what their father did to me 15 years ago.